It started off like any other Thursday evening. I'd wrapped up work earlier than usual and thought I'd surprise my wife with her favorite takeout. We had been together for 8 years, and although we had our share of ups and downs, I believed our marriage was strong. I stepped into the house quietly, wanting to catch her off guard in the best way possible. But the surprise waiting for me wasn't the one I had planned. As I moved through the hallway, a soft laugh drifted down from our bedroom. It wasn't the kind of laugh I was used to hearing from her. This one was light, teasing, intimate. My chest tightened, but I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was overthinking. I set the food on the kitchen counter and made my way to the bedroom, each step heavier than the last. The moment I opened the door, my entire world crumbled. There she was, lying in bed with another man. For a split second, my mind couldn't accept what my eyes were seeing. They both froze, the color draining from their faces. She lunged for the blanket, pulling it over herself while stammering my name in disbelief. But the man beside her didn't even try to act guilty. He stared at me with a smug expression, almost challenging me to react. But I didn't yell. I didn't break down. I just shut off. Something inside me went cold. Without a word, I turned and walked away. She followed me into the hallway, pleading for a chance to explain. But what words could possibly erase what I had just seen? My silence seemed to rattle her more than any outburst could have. I picked up my keys, left the house, and drove with no real destination, just trying to outrun the chaos inside my head. That night, I booked a cheap motel room. I lay on the bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling, replaying everything over and over. The years I had devoted to her, the trust one had freely given, it all felt meaningless now. I didn't close my eyes once. And by sunrise, I knew exactly what I had to do. When I came back the next day, she was waiting in the kitchen. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying. The moment I walked through the door, she started pouring out her version of what happened, how it was a mistake, how she didn't mean to hurt me, how she'd been confused. I let her speak. But in my mind, the decision had already been made. The love I once held for her had been replaced by something colder, finality. I told her plainly that I wasn't interested in explanations. That I'd be moving out immediately. That our marriage was over. Her legs buckled, and she dropped to her knees, clutching my hand, begging for another chance. She promised to cut all ties with him. Offered counseling. Swore she'd do anything. But nothing could undo what I had seen. Nothing could erase the betrayal. That day, I packed only the essentials. She stood in the doorway, sobbing as I loaded my things into the car. I didn't glance back. I knew that if I did, even for a second, I might falter. And I couldn't afford that. I had to protect what little of my pride I still had left. In the weeks that followed, she tried everything, calls, texts, even showing up at my job. I ignored every attempt. I had given her love, loyalty, and trust, and she had thrown it away for a fleeting moment of selfishness. I refused to let myself get pulled back into that pain. Friends and family were stunned when they heard. Some questioned if I was being too harsh. Told me maybe I should listen to her side. But they hadn't walked into that room. They didn't know what it felt like to have your entire world collapse without warning. Eventually, I filed for divorce. The process was excruciating, but it was also a release. Staying with her would have meant living in constant suspicion, always questioning her every move. I knew I couldn't live like that. I deserved more than a lifetime of doubt. The loneliness hit me hard at first, but with time, I started to rebuild. I threw myself into work. I started hitting the gym again. I reconnected with friends I had grown distant from during the marriage. Slowly, I began to imagine a future without her, a future where I wasn't haunted by someone else's choices. Months later, she messaged me. It wasn't a plea for reconciliation this time, but a genuine apology. She admitted she had destroyed something beautiful, and that she hoped I'd eventually find someone who would love me the way I deserved. I read it once. Then deleted it. And moved on. Looking back, walking away was the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the wisest. I learned that betrayal doesn't get to define your story. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply building a life so full, so peaceful, that the person who hurt you no longer has a place in it. And that's exactly what I'm doing now.